Hello and welcome to the next tutorial for our Cacti monitoring system. And if you remember in the previous video we installed Cacti onto a Linux system, and now we're going to start adding devices to Cacti. So I've already added 2 devices, and you can see here this is what the graphing will look like once you've added those devices and they've started picking up information. So here we have one of my switches, and you can see we've got the CPU there and traffic going in and out of those interfaces there. It's all been logged. And then it also works with things like computers as well, so you can see drive usage, when it loads. Come on, next page. You'll get CPU, network usage, things like that. So if you want to add a device, all you have to do is go into devices and click add. To remove a device, you have to find the one you want to remove. In this case I would say I want to remove this one here, which is the Netgear switch. So delete is already selected, and you just go, and it will delete all associated graphs, and then the graphing for that switch is deleted. And then of course if you wanted to add it again, we go to add, the description, which should be Netgear switch, the host name, which you can either put a domain name or an IP address. You can choose a template. In this case we need a generic SNMP enabled host. We can leave these here, apart from we're going to select version 2, and the community is public. So the community bit is just like a password really. And then we go with create. So if it says save successful, then it means it's found the device and SNMP is enabled. So if we go to create graphs for this host, we can see here all of the bits that we can graph. So there's all the interfaces as well as the CPU and the link aggregation ones there. So if we press the top tick at the top there and then hit create, it will then create the graphs for all of those interfaces. So there, it's added the graphs, and then we can add more graphs. So in this case I might want to add, say, ping latency. Select the tick at the top there for ping latency, and then we go to create, and then we can select a colour for it. Yellow's quite cool, go with yellow, and then we can change the text for it. So call this ping latency and click create, and now that would have added the ping latency graph to it as well. So the Cacti SNMP box will ping the Netgear switch and then give us a graph based on the replies. So now if we go back to devices, we can see the Netgear switch is back. It hasn't found the status of it yet, but it will do eventually. And then what we want to do is we want to go to graph trees, and then we can see here these are the trees that I've created, in this case network, switches, and if we click add under the switches we can add a host, and then we can select the Netgear host here, and then those you can leave as they are. Hit create. It will then put our Netgear graphs under switches, Netgear switch. So we want to click save there, and then go over to graphs, and you can see here we've got network switches and then host Netgear switch. It'll take a little bit of time to load. Normally this is quicker if you've got a faster system, but this is actually running on a Raspberry Pi, so if you're thinking of setting this up on a Raspberry Pi, this is how fast it goes, and it depends really how impatient you are, but this is okay just for trying things out. So we won't really get any graphs yet because we have just started adding the graphs. So what I'm going to do is going to pause the video, leave it about half hour, and then we should have some data on the graphs that I can show you. Okay, so I have left it about 15 minutes, and you can see after refreshing our graphs we've started getting some traffic on the main uplink here. So it's just about started showing that information, and the ping latency is showing as well. You have to wait for all the images to load again. So there we go, the ping latency is showing. And if you decide ever that yellow you just cannot see on a white background, or you've chosen an absolutely terrible colour like I have, if you go to console, go into your devices again, find the device that has the graphs that you want to change, so in this case the Netgear switch, go to graph list, select a graph, in this case ping latency, and then you can easily change the colour to whatever you like. So blue works quite well. We'll go in, actually that's purple, we'll go with the dark purple, click save, and then if we look at that graph again, it will now show the pings in purple. So that is it for this video. It's very basic, but that is how you add, delete and change all of your graphs for Cacti. If you enjoyed this video, then please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe as well, because I'm of course going to be doing more of these videos on how to do things that you can't always find out how to do. And I normally do videos on things where I've spent maybe 1 or 2 hours trying to research how to do it, and then I'll make a video on it so you can easily find it on YouTube. So I will see you guys in the next video, and goodbye.